At McConey Setup Shop, we offer custom-built setups for any asphalt oval car. Prices starting at just $5. Weekly setups available for all Legends, late models, modifieds, and NASCAR trucks, Xfinity, and Cup cars. Do you need one-on-one driver coaching? We've got you covered. Visit www.McConeySetupShop.com and find yourself in Victory Lane. McConey Setup Shop, handling all your setup needs so you don't have to.
Hi, race fans. Welcome live here. Richmond under the lights tonight here for the Great Lakes Truck Series. It's going to be a good one here as we got the Patti Engineering truck race about to happen as these guys are gridding it up. Good field here as always for the Great Lakes Cup Series. Guys are about to showcase what they can do on a short track here tonight. And Alex, I tell you, so biggest thing about this track, a little tricky, but it also we can throw out there the bump and run might come into play.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about watching the races here at this track, because for the longest time, I mean, this is when I was growing up. I was like, aren't like Richmond and Charlotte the same place, Dad? He's like, no, they're two very different places, and that they are. And definitely a fan of short track racing, and that's what we got tonight, like you said. So I'm pretty pumped to see how these guys are going to make it work.
Absolutely. So here we go. These guys are rolling off the starting grid here. Good set of field here tonight. Richmond under the lights as always. Appreciate everybody tuning in. How y'all doing here tonight? It'll be a good one. Like I say, short track racing. Always people maybe kind of like seeing that a little bit. I do anyways. Kind of brings on a mix. We might see a pretty good clean one, and the next thing you know, we might see some disasters on the track. You just never know.
And we are under the lights. Always liked under the lights racing. I don't know what about it is, but to me it's a little bit more exciting. Kind of like watching Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football or whatever sport you guys watch. Because obviously night races at night. Who doesn't like staying up watching these guys race here at some of these tracks? I mean, Richmond. Wow. I mean, I'll just hit it right off the bat. It's a 3/4 mile track. 14-degree banking in the turns. 8 degrees on the front stretch and 2 degrees on the back stretch for the banking throughout the track. So, and like you said, the bump and run has been used here many times. So who knows what we'll see this evening.
Green flag's about to fly. We're getting set to go racing here as it flies out tonight under the lights here at Richmond. They storm off into the turn one. Kind of unique how the front stretch happens here. It's not really kind of a straight stretch. It's kind of like a D-shaped style track here. More like a, I don't know, maybe an oval up front. Dog leg, so to speak, whatever you want to call it. But it's not really like a straight as opposed to the back. So can tend to give a little problems. To these guys up front. As right now, got some good battle going on back here in the background with Samuel Hoff and Peter. The old tie is right now. You got 2x2. We got a truck around the 44.
Dang, that was quick.
Tie. Well, I was saying before, here's the problem with this track. It can get very slick early on, but let's see what happened. Old Tyler out here. Got a feeling just coming out there. Tires are kind of cold right now. Everybody's trying to see what they got. Coming out of turn 4, though, through this kind of unique front stretch. It can get real slick real quick, and it looks like a truck in front of him kind of lost it. He had to check up, and then he just got a little bump in the back. And from there, just kind of spun around the wall, and not sure who there, just couldn't get stopped in time. Unfortunate for the two gentlemen there, but things can happen quick here, short track racing.
Absolutely, it can. And what I want to get for the drivers, us, the people watching, this is, I mean, it ain't too wide of a track. I mean, compared to the race we had the other night. That thing was super wide. So, but it is also a short track. So that
Come
can.
New Hampshire's what you're talking about.
Was it? Was it?
I think it was New Hampshire. Yeah, I think it was New Hampshire's. It was New Hampshire's. It's a mile track, but I'm gonna tell you what, it just does not look like a mile track. It don't look that big, but nonetheless, it is a mile track. So.
But transitioning into that could spell some trouble in the turns, especially if these guys are trying to push maybe a little bit past 2 wide, maybe 3 wide, because I don't think 4 wide realistically is on the table.
It can be done here. I mean, you can see how wide this track is. I would not advise it because of just how the grooves work. This place really tends to more of a single groove style track the longer the green flag goes. Yes, early on with tires, you can see some side by side. It kind of tends to, if a long green flag run happens, you're going to see some guys maybe, pick each other off one by one. Not going to say you won't see anybody come through the field. Obviously, it could happen throughout this race. Tell you what, right now, very well is out front. Christopher Heller. Remember we talked about him, and this has been a season that he's probably wanting to forget about right now. But he was one of the top drivers in the chase last season. And this season, man, he's struggling an awful lot, along with Samuel Hoff, who right now is hanging on to the 10th place spot.
Yeah, and like you said, Chris Heller he's been having an up and down season. And so it's really nice to see him starting up on the pole and maintaining it, even though they were only green for a few seconds. But right behind him, you got Bobby Carter, Elliott Henderson. I don't know what he's trying to do. I know it's his buddy, but who knows?
Well, right now, Elliott Henderson's the man that holds the top spot in points. Shane Nicewanger there in second. We talk about Christopher Heller. He's sitting 17th in points right now, along with Samuel Hoff, 18th in points. So, obviously, a win would definitely help them out to get them up right now. We got quite a few races to go, so they've got a little time before we, start the chase. But definitely a win tonight or a very good finish by them can help propel them up there to get in that top spots for the chase. So let's see how it plays out. Just never know about a track like this, being a short track, so getting set to go back green.
Yeah, and short tracks, I mean, hopefully not as much tonight, but they cause quite a bit of trouble sometimes. And even, because the thing is, with the track this short, you're going to catch up to lap traffic. And sometimes the leaders get caught up in it. Sometimes it happens back in the field. So hopefully we don't see that kind of stuff. But things do happen, So, no, I just hope it's a nice, super smooth, clean race with these guys. We got 175 laps to go tonight, so we're going to be here for the entirety of them making their way through it. Yeah, I was going somewhere with it, and then I was like, my train in my head was just like, oh, let's pump the e-brakes for a second, and just completely stop. So
absolutely. We're right now looking good Austin Moore's got the Supreme machine out there right now. He's running 13th. Watching this battle back here because this is Ashton Lawson who is calling the outside. He finally gets it stuck down there low with the 25 machine. Has other plans of Brandon Burkuski, who I thought there for a minute was going to get it. And this is the kind of battles you're going to see. They're going to be really, really close, kind of one-on-one style. Kind of seeing if we can't pick them off one by one. Right now, just being very, very patient. Gavin right there watching the battle in front of him. Very momentum style track here. You get caught on that outside, you can get pushed up, open the door for a guy behind you. So you got to be very cautious there. But I still say as the run goes on, I think that outside lane's going to go. Good battle here around about the 16th place spot.
Watching these guys kind of with these battles, this is typically what we're kind of seeing. Usually it single files out most of the time, and you got battles here and there. I feel like tonight, though, because the track is a lot shorter than, say, like the 1.5 miles or like the between the mile and 1.5 mile tracks that you normally see that kind of stuff on. I feel like there's going to be more battles here and there, so hopefully bring some nice excitement for everyone watching this evening. And yeah, Chris Heller staying up front, though. Definitely like seeing that right now with William Barb right there behind him. William Barb's been he's been getting beaten around in his truck last couple weeks, but he is just, I don't know how he does it. He just comes up and with this damage, just ridden his truck, and he's just like, oh, yep. He just makes his way up, and he's been doing some pretty solid finishes, even with some nasty stuff going on to him earlier throughout the races and whatnot. So it's kind of nice seeing him up front, so he don't got to deal with that, hopefully, as much this evening.
I'm going to say he's probably one of the most consistent drivers so far in the Great Lake Truck Series and Cup Series. Again, we've seen William right there. He come back from adversity week in and week out. It seems like sometimes you think, well, man, he's out of the race or gets caught up in some trouble. Next thing you know, he's finished in the top 5 or around about, the top 10. And I've said it before, I think it's not going to be long before he pulls off a win. And lo and behold, folks, know your eyes not deceiving. The Bobby Carter actually is Elliott Henderson. We found that out a couple weeks ago. So he's back in that alias again. He didn't change his name out of the Truck Series like he did for the Cup. Although he is in his normal Elliott Henderson design machine here tonight. But we found out what the Bobby Carter stands for. Obviously, he works for NASCAR Heat. And the likeness of the gentleman who's on the front is who that stands for. Right now, he's giving old William Barb all he can handle. He's on the back deck lid. Those two guys are going to go nose to tail out of turn 2 down the back stretch here, shooting around here at Richmond under the lights. Good looking picture here tonight. I tell you, like you said, just looks so good under these lights here with this race, and everything makes it just kind of shiny, bright, and I'm like you, it's just kind of cool when they're under that lights.
Yeah, and one of the points that you said just there, William Barb right here, you saying that he has been overcoming adversity week in and week out is exactly how it's been, and you did, and you have been also saying that he's going to come out with a win sometime relatively soon. So he races very well in this series.
Just to give you an idea, I mean, so far in the series, he's got 4 top 10s, 2 top 5s there. In 7 races, so that means very, very dead on consistent. Although he's had a couple that pretty consistent, that means he's been in the top 10 pretty much the whole entire season. You see right there, the 20 machine just shot down on the inside, made a good move there to pass in the Red Bull machine. But I say don't count William out. If he keeps up that consistency, he'll be up there towards the end, and something we'll just have to keep an eye out on. And right there, boy, Philip Bedford, another one, made an awesome move there to cap off R.J. Williams out here tonight, too. So Wow, as you see right now, battle for second. Elliott Henderson right there in that 37 machine. Going to look on the inside of William. Going to take that spot away. They'll hammer it down door to door. Fender to fender. Elliott's going to take him. Maybe a crossover move here.
Yeah, and you see that a lot, and with these battles going on, usually if it's just like this, he's one in two people battles going on for a spot. That crossover move works. It works pretty good sometimes, and it's just like, oh, he just passed me, and then like, oh wait, psych, and you're just going right back past him. So that's a good move that I feel like a lot of people use, and it works out a decent amount of the time. But here's, like you said, here's Shane Bedford right behind him, knocking on their doors.
It is. That's Phillips Bedford right there knocking on the door. Good battle back here around about 7th and 8th. Shane Nicewanger there and Eric Kep. But, yeah, you're right there, Alex. So these are the kind of battles you're going to see. Guys be single file. Next thing you know, boom, you'll see one or two trucks go kind of door to door. One will make a pass here and there. That's kind of how it is. Tire wear can become a problem at a track like this. It is pretty hard on tires. You can see right there, a little overdriving of the turn. Not quite sure that's who that is. Broke the turn there a little bit. That's just a lap car there in between them, but kind of went high on the track.
And speaking about consistency, like you did, talking about William Barb there, I want to make these 2 points right here with, you got Philip Bedford, excuse me, I'm pretty sure I said Shane Bedford before, because I was thinking of both these guys at the same time. Philip Bedford right here in the 4th place spot is right here in front of RJ Williams. Right there, you see him in that Red Bull truck. It seems like it's always him versus Split Second Esports and Elliott Henderson Racing at the end. It's usually him versus 4 guys at the end, and he has been racing extremely well. And another one who I want to bring up is Shane Nicewanger, who's currently in 7th in that, I believe it's a Keystone truck right here. Yeah. Shane don't have a win this year, but he has 3 top 5s and 6 top 10s as well, and is sitting in 2nd place in the points right now. So Shane, and he's always there at the end, always competing. So I think Shane is in the same boat as William Barb, and Shane's going to come out with one here in the near future.
I think it is too. You're right. So you got a lot of guys being very, very well consistent here. Eric Kemp hanging on. What you see right there looks like Terrell Baker, right there, trying to look on the inside of Eric. Going to try to take it there. He's got the Bisquick machine out there, going down some biscuits, looking quick too, doing it. And you mentioned it, team-wise, we see a lot of teamwork happen throughout this one here in the series, and the most top team we see is obviously Elliott Henderson Motorsports there. But that the Split Second Esports is another one that we keep our eye out on week in and week out. See this great battle going on around about 13, 14 place shot. That's some heavy hitter names there that you were used to seeing up front. Jake Miller, he's trying to work himself out of a hole. That guy's just had an up and down season. They're fast machines, but he always just seems like trouble just finds its way around him somehow. And then you got Jacob Bransky right there on with Aaron and Samuel Hoff. But you alluded to old Philip right here, Bedford. Probably the kind of what we'd say the sleeper team here. He's been up there, but just not been able to seal the deal. It's always been either Elliott or one of the other guys. But Philip has been there, and I think he's going to cap off a win. He's been kind of a thorn in the side of Split Second and Elliott Henderson Motorsports. And if he ever becomes a free agent, I think they might want to think about, there's a guy we might want to pick up or look at next season, because he's definitely fast.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he is very, very fast. as he's already moved up past William Barber, and he's in the third place spot. I just noticed that actually, and he's got Elliott right in front of him, and Chris Heller got a decent little lead going on. Is it the Hellers or the Hawks that are with Patti Engineering? Do you remember?
Samuel Hoff.
Okay, because I remember it being one of those two. So
yeah, Samuel had the Patti Engineering, and obviously that's title sponsor tonight. He's back in the 16th right there, so definitely looking good. And just real quick, we talk about our leader, Christopher Heller out front. He's part of that split-second, esports racing team. I'm looking at the lap times just to kind of give you an idea between him and Elliott. Christopher's doing an outstanding job maintaining. He did a 23:20 to a 23:36. But just to show you why this is a hard place to pass and why you're not going to see too many guys coming flying through the field, all the way through the field. I say through the field, I'm talking about the whole 30-car field. It's still in the 23-second range. It starts at 23:20 and doesn't end till 23:6. And that right there tells you you're not going to see anybody just come flying through this field. Over time, yes, the gaps will get further out, but that's close. That tells you right now that pit strategy and I'm gonna say track position is the key right now.
That time that you just said is astoundingly close to me. That is, 0.4 seconds for 30 trucks?
Yeah, 4/10. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, 4/10 separate the whole field. Yeah,
crazy.
And I know everybody out there going, well, yeah, but they're all split up. Well, obviously because over time in the race, I mean, that over the time the gap's going to go further. But what I'm saying is it takes tenths or a second to gain on another truck. And when you're only, let's say, between the leaders up here, when you're only, well, right now, the last time, but they're going through a lot of lap traffic, so it's really kind of misleading here. But when you're 2/10 difference between the first and second, even with a 2/10 gap, he's not going to make up that much time. It actually has been between Christopher and Elliott. It's only been about, I'm going to say, a tenth or maybe less. And with that difference right there, if they were nose to tail, to kind of give an idea, if they were nose to tail and let's say they were let's say there was a solid tenth, that might get Elliott to maybe to his door, maybe to his rear quarter panel. But he's going to have way more than that to even get up beside him and get around him. So it just kind of tells you what the time-wise, what it takes to make a pass, and it just kind of blow by somebody.
And like you said earlier, it is difficult to pass here, as you got Phillip there and catching up with Elliott right here, and here's Jake Miller in the 9th spot. So it seems like he's sitting pretty good so far in the top 10 right now. So, as I'm pretty sure I've seen one of those Defiance Racing guys bounce off the wall a few times.
Well, he's lapped down right there. He's just trying to stay out of the way of a lot of the faster cars. Good job on his end. Unfortunately, the wall's kind of close right there. Obviously, like you said, Jake, we got green flag pit stops happening. That's another thing we haven't really talked much about, as we're already, lap 40-some, almost 50 into it here. So it kind of tells us about how far they can go pit-wise here. And it looks like Jake's going to bring his down on pit road. Got to get that thing stopped. It's a tough place to get on pit road. It'll be very dangerous. I won't be surprised if we might see somebody spin out coming on pit road, because you're having to come down from a lot of speed. Get woed down. I think pit road speed here is around about 35 mile an hour, if I'm not mistaken.
And that is pretty slow. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe we could get some pit road speeding penalties too. I'm not saying that I wish we get pit road speeding penalties. Let me definitely clarify.
Yeah.
But it's
Well, I like
definitely
that
the
out there.
card is on the table.
I'm sorry about that, Alex. You know, I always like it out there. I always talk about the family members chiming in. We got Scott out there. He's pulling for Eric Kemp, which is having a good run. He just made his green flag pit stop. But Chris Heller out there, obviously dad of Christopher Heller, cheering on Christopher right now as he's leading the race and having an outstanding. Now here's where Philip Bedford can maybe coin a phrase, blood in the water here a little bit. He's got his sights on Elliott. Elliott got hung up behind a few lap cars. That's going to definitely benefit old Philip as he's closing in on him.
Yeah, Philip's just been chipping away at Elliott these past few laps. And he was pretty close a couple of the laps ago. So, as Elliott pits down, right, it looks like he was trying to get there, but he couldn't. I think he was trying to judge if he could get with Elliott, but he couldn't. And kind of slowed him up right there, unfortunately. But, I mean, I'm not sure because looks like you got a couple, oh no, never mind. Disregard what I was about to say. But, now he comes.
Yeah, he came awful slow on the back stretch there for some reason. So Phillips, obviously, you know, they've slowed down way, way back there. Going to be curious, as always, like throwing out those two numbers, you know, getting on pit road, your pit stop and coming off. Like he's out of fuel. I think Phillip ran it out of fuel. I believe that's why he slowed on the back stretch so much. I think Philip Bedford might be out of fuel, coasting it. He's not. He's close, probably. He's going to have a slow in and out pit stop time there. I mean, he took a long time to get on his pit box.
Yeah, and I think that's might have been why he was wiggling it so much. Because, you know, these guys are...
Too. I was wondering if you noticed that. Yeah, that's why I was saying it might have been... Let's see what his total time was. Yeah, 51 seconds, and just everybody else was in a 48 to 45 total. And what I mean by that time is that's the time it takes for them to get on pit road, do their pit stop, and get off pit road. And his was a 51.7, so lost a lot of time. So he either was running out of fuel or just was coasting and very, very slow coming in. But that's going to cost him a huge amount of time, especially on green flag pit stops. Phillip right there puts him back into the 17th spot. Eric Kane's on to the 12th place. Let's see. Christopher, unfortunately, though, lost a spot on pit road, and here's where he lost it at. Let me give you an idea of how, because first off, Elliott, his pit stop was a 14.57. Christopher had a 14.75. Instantly right there, you're thinking, well, that's where it's at. That's where most of it is. But you also got to look at this number, the total pit time. Elliott had a 45.65 to Christopher's 46.52. Astronomical in and out of pit road time for Elliott, and that's what it takes. I've always said in the past, mental mistakes. And what I mean by mental mistakes, that means pit road mistakes, you know, getting in your pits and off, not hitting your marks on the track, braking points, zone, stuff like that. But most, even in real racing, a race usually can be won or lost on pit road. We see it time and time again. And right here's a perfect example. Guy really benefited it though, but he did pit at lap 45. That's R.J. Williams. So he kind of short pitted these guys up here. See if we can't get the advantage on them.
And that just brings up, talking about bringing pit strategy into it earlier. Because if we have these long green flag runs like we have had since that first caution went on the second lap or something like that, this is what's going to be expected. And that's where you can make up a bunch of ground or lose a bunch of ground. And RJ did a good job of making up some, and now he's over 2 seconds ahead of Elliott right there in second.
Yeah, it is. Jake also pitted right around lap 47. Made up a lot of time. He's up to fourth place. Got Brandon Perkuski there in fifth. William Barr back to sixth. Terrell Baker up to 7th, Shane Nicewalker there at 8, Jacob Bransky to 9th, and Daniel Nanning rounds out the top 10. So we'll just have to see how well the tires up front for RJ holds on. If we kind of look at the lap times, again, not too far off. You're looking at a 22.68 was the last time for RJ, 22.45 there for Elliott, and 9 for Christopher. Christopher is a touch faster. Now, he did pit one lap later than Elliott, so he's got a lap, newer tires, and a lot of people might say, well, that don't make a big difference. It depends on the track. It really does. It depends on your driving style, and it depends on the track. And I'm going to tell you what, right now, just from watching Heller, he's on top of it tonight. He is probably looking the best I've seen him all season long. Don't want to jinx him. Sometimes we can give the broadcaster jinx, but right now, looking strong.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get none of that. I don't know. It seemed like the race the other night, it was like, oh, well, maybe if this is going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, oh, hey, there's a caution. So I'm pretty sure I said it like 2 or 3 times the other night.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully none of that broadcaster jig stuff comes in. But, I mean, Chris Heller has been doing a great job this evening. He has a very strong truck. And, these two guys, Chris Heller, Elliott Henderson, are teammates. So, they're going to work together and make it so that I don't know how it ends up happening, but it's always at the end of the race. And when a restart happens, there are like 4 of Elliott's team's guys up there, and then Philip Bedford. So it's like 4v1 right there at the end.
Right now, though, but that pit stop really hurt Philip on there, just not being able to get in. He's back to 14, back up to the front. Now's the time he needs to just kind of pace himself, to try to get back up there. But you're right. I agree with you. It seems like it's him versus the world sometimes, Philip, when he gets up there. I mean, because it is a massive team that they have here. And us as broadcasters, hey, we love the dramas of teams being played out. But now as far as a league owner or as a driver out there that's not in one of those teams, you're probably sitting there thinking, wait a minute. And in real life, I guess that's why they cap that stuff a lot. NASCARs don't want, because your high-priced teams would end up having, 10 cars in their team just by one team. Then they'd have another team out there, another 10 cars, and, so half the field would be, just one big team working together. And I get it, they don't want that way, but nonetheless, we've seen guys kind of persevere, jump up. And it's going to be interesting to see if Christopher can get back up front. Can he get back around Elliott? They've been able to catch RJ right now, but remember, he's on an older set of tires, and RJ's trying to hang on. Looks like Christopher's going to take over, take a place spot here. Do it, drops down the inside, go to shoot by him.
Yeah, it looks like he might be able to get the job done here, and then all he has to do is keep his sights set on Elliott. And but if looking at it right now, 4 of these top 5 guys, I didn't even think about it right when I said it, but of course, right now, 4 of the top 5 guys are either Split Second Esports or Elliott Henderson Racing, the 2 sister teams here. So it's already playing out, and it is a very neat thing to see these guys working out that way and being as competitive with on either side of the teams as they are. So these guys they're a super strong bunch, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely know how to work together.
And they're doing a good job. And I think Elliott, I don't know, if I was in the situation, obviously I don't know what is running through Elliott's mind right now. But if I were Elliott, I would try to make the most out of every battle I could, passing guys to put more people in between myself and second place, and or just get through them as quickly and efficiently as possible, because then who knows what kind of problems he can give the guys behind him after he passes them. So maybe a little strategy thing.
Definitely got to play some strategies, especially on the short track here where it's really tough to pass. And watching Terrell Baker right here, he's in the mix, and that's about the 10th place spot. He's got Jacob Bransky there, Aaron, Daniel, and Brandon all in a mix. Looks like somebody's done punched the back end of the Biscuit Mobile there, so they smacked around the Biscuit on the track. Seeing right there, Terrell hangs on to it. Jacob going to drive it down on the inside. This is a good little toss-up battle here, door to door, going on around 10th place spot.
Yeah, this group's been kind of going at it a little bit these last couple laps, and Brandon Barkuski right here. It seems like he's been catching some off, just not some good luck last couple races. Pretty sure he did pretty good last week, but we got this guy getting all squirrely.
That'd be Aaron. That time to start getting a little loose. These wheels start to give out. Again, you're on that inside. We talk about that unique style front stretch. It's almost like a D-shaped style front stretch. Big kind of oval, so to speak, half oval, whatever you want to call it, up front there. And it can get very slick as the run goes on when you're going into it. I've run this track a couple times. Gotta really, it's really tricky coming through there. These guys are on fixed setup, so if you were on an open setup and you tried to set your truck up, you really got to pick what you want. You either want to set up straight for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, because it's very different here. But see Aaron right there hanging on the 11th. 10th place battle happening, Brandon, and looks like a lap machine right there. Not quite sure what it is, but he's trying to run down Jacob Bransky. Moment.
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, that right there, with having to deal with some of these lap guys, that just goes into maybe how the leader, whoever it be at the time, can use that as their strategy. And, I mean, it just played out perfectly right there pretty much. So, who knows what that kind of stuff can do for these guys this evening, as we're looking at Eric Kep right here. His nice pink GNC machine.
Yeah, Eric Kemp right there looking good. Like you said, he's around about 15. Off right there in front of him. Ashton Lawson hanging on his back door right there behind him. Go a little further back here. Pete, he's not having a night right now. He's just kind of a little off the pace there. We got all the duck truck out there with old Pete. He's back in 25th, a couple laps down. Gavin, remember earlier on, he's the one right there in the 14th. Spun it out, and Brandon Barkuski off the track. Got it back up for a moment, up to 13th. So I don't know, some good moves for the moment right now. You see this guy lapping the field. That's right. It says Bobby Carter, but that's actually Elliot Henderson out there, kind of his alias, and he's still got Christopher Heller, knocking on his back door.
Yeah, and I think Chris is going to stay there for a while. He ain't going to... I mean, he's going to pass him, but I don't think he's going anywhere farther back is what I'm trying to say. He has a very strong truck, so him being in the position he was and currently is, I wouldn't be sweating too much if I were him. I think the race is could possibly be in his hands to see how it turns out for the finish at the end. But he has been doing a great job of not letting Elliott run away, because Elliott, if you guys watching didn't know, is coming off of 6 Truck Series wins in a row.
Ooh. Domination right there.
Talk about powerhouse.
And some of those wins, I think he just luck was on his side, because, again, Jake had some bad misfortune in some of them. RJ had some bad misfortune in some of them. So Elliott's just been in the right place at the right time. And tonight could be the thing that could happen to Christopher, because you never know. It's a short track. He's fast enough. We watched him the last time around there. It seems like they're swapping lap times each time they come by, because the last time Christopher was a little bit fast. This time still faster. Elliott ran a 23.43 to a 23.29. So Christopher's able to pull it up. He might be able to pick and use one of these lap machines up here. That would be the play I would look at if I was Christopher back there.
Oh, so you're just flipping the script on my strategy that I said, and you're going to go, hey, he can use it and to pass the guy in front of him. I see what you did there.
Well, that's the, and if it works, it works. I mean, he's obviously got some speed, but like that last time there, you know, Elliott ran a 23.29 to a 23.31, so it seems like they're just, both of those trucks are so dead even. The one thing it does tell me though is Christopher might be able to catch him, but passing him is going to be the problem. He's not, time-wise, he's not showing that he's got, talked about that earlier, just not that speed. So I think he's going to have to utilize like an opportunity like right here, if you can catch Elliott at the right time, right place of the track, and get him when he's going around. That did not help him none right there because of, you know, coming up alongside of another lap machine, catches him in the middle of the turn, but he can catch him in the right place. Yeah, teammate. If he can catch him in the right place, he might be able to shoot around him.
And that teammate was Eric Kep back there.
Now, the one thing I do like here, sorry about that, Alex, the one thing I do like here is we are seeing teammates, and we talk about Elliott dominating. Now, let's say this thing goes green the whole entire way. And it stays like we are here. Obviously, Christopher has had a dismal season. It's one he's probably going to forget so far for the start, but obviously the win could all turn that around for you. But don't look for Elliott just because he's won 6 in a row to go, come on up here, Christopher, I'll let you have it. I'm going to move out of the way. We're team. Not happening. You're going to have to move me out the way, race me, and you know, I'm just not going to give it to you.
Yeah, and I think that, so talking about that first, I don't think really anybody would just kind of give a spot away just because, like, a sympathy spot, you know? It's kind of what
surprised. I've seen it before.
that's how I would feel. I'd be like, oh, he's letting me pass. Oh, sympathy spot. Oh, I want to actually race him and prove that I can.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just talk about it that way is, I mean, we got some more green flag pit stops going again right now, don't we?
We do. We got quite a few. Just saw right there. One of them, I think it was Gavin, obviously on way newer tires, had his pit stop, was able to go by the leaders, get one of his lap back. But yes, we do have a lot of green flag stops here. I'm gonna tell you, Christopher's right there. I mean, it's so frustrating as a driver to know that you're right there, but you just cannot get past that barrier. The truck just will not go any further. That's how it feels when you're so close to one another time-wise. I mean, you know, 34 to 41, folks. We're talking about, you know, not even a tenth between them. Christopher's just kind of there, and truck around. Caution's out. That's Shane Posse. And it collects Pete along with him. Let's go back here and watch the replay, see what happened to Shane in the back. And boy, just went around, looped it. You see the leaders close, and then Pete just could not get slowed down in time. One else gets by green, but yeah. Now this right here might help these guys up here as far as pit stops goes. We saw a lot of green flag pit stops happening. He pitted on lap 51 last time. So this is not quite the 50 lap mark. So they're going to have to do another pit stop before it's over with.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would definitely come in if I was these guys, but the guys behind them that already pitted.
The guys behind him who already pitted, like at lap 91, Jake Miller, 93, RJ Williams, I would not come in unless let's see what happens. Jake is going to stay out, and it looks like RJ's going to stay out. Now, it's a gamble for those guys to stay out. They're going to be on probably about 4, 5, 6 laps, old tires. Doesn't sound like a lot, but on a track like this, it can lead to a lot. We'll just have to see what happens here, and then how many cars come out in front of them. That's another thing we got to keep in mind.
Right. I mean, looking at it, I don't know. I would have expected. I don't even know. I'm just confusing myself so much right now. Oh, I got it. Okay. I figured out what I was thinking, but it might be too stupid, so I don't even want to say it anymore. So I'm not going to. But
right now it is looks like Christopher was able to get back out front with a great pit stop there over Elliott. So here we go. I think this is what Christopher's going to need if this keeps happening right now. I think this race might be won on pit stop strategies, coming getting off pit road. We saw it last time. Whoever's out front, I think, is the one that benefits the most in that clean air. We talk about dirty air. You hear it a lot of times in real racing. It works the same way here on iRacing. Get behind a car and that thing just wants to push, and you can't get around them.
Yeah, and so why don't you run me past those pit times real quick for both of those guys, Elliott and Chris Heller right there. Because also you got Shade coming up.
22, and Chris Elliott, had a 1482. So just on pit time right there alone is where he made up an astronomical. And then obviously the full amount, 47.68 to 48.78. So he extended it even more coming on an all pit road. So that's how he was able to get around him on pit road. Now, if that had been a green flag stop, Christopher would have really had a pretty darn good lead coming off pit road over Elliott. Now, being a caution, obviously they're going to start side by side. But if that would have been a green flag stop and he would run those numbers, folks, he probably would have had a solid 2-3 second lead, if maybe not more, coming out of pit road over Elliott. And that's what I'm saying. That's where I think it would be one lost. I think his race will be one lost coming on and off pit road. Obviously, it's not over. We'll have to see as we get set to go back green here under the lights. Richmond, night for the Great Lakes Truck Series here. Patti Engineering Machines as they take off, and he would love to see Shane Nicewanger get up there and battle a little bit behind old Elliott.
So somehow it worked out again that at the restart, 4 of the top 5 cars are Split Second Esports and Elliott Henderson Racing. It is a phenomenon that just continues to amaze me. And these guys do a great job of it with Jacob Bransky getting a really smooth pass right there.
Far around in the back. Oh,
Phillip's in there.
Yeah, Phillip was in it. Looks to be Pete was also in it, but I'm not sure. I don't think he started it. He was just in it. Let's go back on the yellow flag. It was Red Bull machine right there, and I'm not sure that's the one there in front. You're going to see him here in a minute. If he and Pete got together a little bit and into the wall hard. They got just a little piece of it there, unfortunately. Bad, but boy, man, all bashed up. Somebody knocked the beak off the duck, but under caution here. And you talk about Phillip back there in 10th place spot. Let's see, he's going to come on pit road. Actually, not a bad idea for him because remember, he didn't pit that last caution.
Yeah, hopefully he gets he was running good too. He just got caught up.
Who's in second?
A little bit back there.
Now let me make something to note here. We've seen Elliott, obviously he's won the last 6 races like you said. But he has not been the dominant truck in all those 6 races. There's several of them, yes, he has been. But he has been in this situation a couple times. running about second or third or fourth. And several of the trucks have been a lot faster, but just something happens up front. And he's just been in the right place at the right time to capitalize and put it in victory lane. So it's nothing new to see Elliott kind of just being right there where he's at. Kind of being right where he's at and not being the dominant truck. So even though he's 1-6, hey, it's just been in that one.
So now you're the one that's got the doggies fighting.
Well, my youngest one back here messing with him, and then he's quit.
It's all fun and games until the dog doesn't want to play no more. I know.
Right.
But yeah, like you were saying, Elliott, granted, sometimes some of those races, he is absolutely dominant. Some of them, he is battling up front, you know, kind of like he is tonight, but he's not wiping the floor with the rest of the field.
No, and we've seen him in his position a couple times like that, you know. I not saying he doesn't have a fast truck, but not always having the dominant truck, but just being at the right place at the right time.
And something else I want to point out that I believe Elliott made a point of in one of his post-race interviews a few weeks ago, excuse me as I hiccuped, they, for a couple weeks, had both Split Second Esports and Elliott Henderson Racing on the same team channel, with them being sister teams and all. But now looking at it, they are split.
Well, he said they got so big that they had to split them up. There was too much chatter going on. So
there's 8 of them in this race tonight between the two teams.
All about teamwork. We're getting set to go back green. Let's see what Shane Nicemonger can put up here, though, and if he can come up with a good run. He's hanging off down there in second place. Like I said, Elliott's there. Don't count out old Ty Akins. Don't worry about him. Sitting there pretty, and William Barb, like I say, one of the most consistent. Flag flies. Good jump, and Elliott did not get the jump he wanted there, though.
No, he did not, but he's right back up as Shane is trying to make that middle line work. Caution's out again.
Austin, yeah. That old saying, cautions breed cautions. Go back here to Austin Moore, that is. 3 wide, and that's usually just doesn't work. Kind of got clipped a little bit right there, and the Supreme machine is around. Ouch. Back up here, and Shane Nicemonger was able to take the lead. Christopher back in the second, Ty up in the third, and Elliott back to fourth. So might see somebody break the stranglehold that old Elliott's had on the series so far tonight and snap that 6-win streak here.
Yeah, and those top 3, Shane Nicemonger, Chris Heller, and Ty Aiken, they're all on that Split Second Esports team. So now you got a straight team up front, top 3.
Well, you know what? But here's the thing: make no doubt about it that every one of them guys up there, they might be on the same team, but each one of them guys want to win. And when it comes down to it, team or no team, I'm wrecking my mama to win the race. So when it comes down to it, teams won't matter. Every one of these guys definitely want to win up front. That's just the competitive nature of racing. And we've talked about the bump and run. Way early for it now. Usually it happens like on the last lap or so forth. This track can be implemented according to the turns. And there's a difference between it before anybody out there goes, well, a bump and run, that's cheap to do. You're not old school racing then. I know you're probably in the new generation stuff, but a true bump and run is not wrecking if done right. There's a difference between running a guy over are moving him up the track, giving him too much momentum basically going into the turn, which is what a textbook bump and run does.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you brought it up the other week where you were talking about the incident between Martin Truex Jr. and Joey Logano.
Oh yeah, Martinsville.
With that was I thought it was pretty textbook. Not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of Joey Logano. Obviously, you know I'm a Martin Truex fan now, and so, but regardless, that's how you do it. You do it like that, and how it ended up working out, without just making the guy just lose it and putting him in the wall or wherever he ends up.
The opposite effect of that is what Matt Kenseth did to Joey Logano a couple years before. That's running a guy over. Okay, so there's your difference between bump and run and running a guy over. So go look at the two. So you've got one example of the other there. But yeah, between Martin Truex and I know whoever loses the battle to the finish line is always going to be the one that's upset. And obviously Martin Truex did. And he's more upset because, well, he did this and this and this and this. But folks, if you grew up in the era that I did, boy, y'all would get mad week in and week out because Earnhardt, that's all he knew to do was put a fender to the back of somebody and move them up the track. And it was just one of those things that you saw on short tracks week in and week out, and that's where the bump and run came in. Came in way before that, but, it's just one of those things. Nowadays, I get it. They don't want guys getting out there touching each other too much, but it's racing at the end of the day. Green flag, back out there.
Yeah, single file restart. They changed it.
And that's not bad because, I mean, hey, sometimes if you have a lot of cautions, the green flag comes out, you definitely want to try something new. Look at Ty here. Going to work over Christopher Heller. He shoots down on the inside. All these guys sitting on equal tires. Ty's going to try it. Going to maybe open the door up, though, for Elliott there if he keeps battling it with Heller. He's going to. Here comes Elliott diving it down to the inside. He had to whoa up because the door got shut on him for the moment here.
Yeah, and I thought that was a pretty bold move there by Ty. I thought he might have pulled it off for a second, but Chris is holding him off on the outside and made it work. And now Elliott dives down to maybe he gets down on Ty. Let's see if Ty can do the same thing Chris did to him and make that outside work, but it just looks like Elliott is maybe a little too quick.
He is right now, and he takes over the third place. Elliott moves it up there. Ty falls back to the fourth. You got William Barr still hanging around there in the picture of the fifth place spot. Daniel Nanny and company back here with Terrell Baker. He's looking good. Terrell looks like he uses fast. R.J. Williams trying to bounce back. He's up to 8. As, laps are winding quickly here. They get a good long green flag run. This thing, man, won't take as long because it's been a short track like it is. R.J. right now in the mix up there to the 8th place. You got Jake Miller moving it up to 9th. Jacob Bransky there in the 10th place. And Daniel Nanny rounding off into 8th. Samuel Hoff right on the outside looking in.
I think he is.
Got Patti Engineering right there on the side. So he is actually in the title sponsor machine here tonight. Patti Engineering there. Samuel Hoff. Good run. And battle going on up here. 7th, that's William Barham and Terrell Baker.
Yeah, and I personally don't remember talking much about Terrell Baker. That's a new looking truck though to me.
It is.
I don't recall seeing that truck much.
Me either. Williams going to take the advantage though too. Jump up there to 6.
Brings RJ with him. Let's see if he can pull it off too.
Absolutely. He wants to see, RJ right now needs to bounce back. RJ's probably trying to make up as much ground as he can early, because he knows as the run goes on, it's going to fall off. So you don't want those guys up there in the front get too far ahead. As you see, Christopher right now is right on the tire tracks of Shane. And what Elliott would love to see, he's seen it a couple times in some races he's won. Them two guys get up there and maybe start rubbing on each other, and then he just kind of sets sail and goes whoop, right on around them. So he wants them to make a mistake because he's there.
Yeah, and looking back there in that fourth spot behind him, Ty's got his hands full now. He's got Baker and RJ right behind him, so you see how these guys can make it. You see little eyes on the top of Tyrell Baker's helmet. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. Everything going on so far. Got it. That's a good little battle there. That's around about 4th, 5th, and 6th. You see RJ's there. Ty's there. Not where the 71 and Ty wants to be on the outside. RJ's thinking about 3 wide. He's probably going to run in the tire tracks here of old RJ's going to run like there in old Ty Baker's tire tracks. Tyrell, excuse me, Tyrell. You got Ty sitting in 6th, kind of confused. Tyrell in 4th. RJ's just trying to move it up one by one right now.
Yeah, and who's coming up right behind Ty? Aiken right there is Jake Miller, who actually just made the pass on him. So Jake is coming up too, trying to stay right there up with RJ and Tyrell, making their way up towards the front as Chris Heller has taken the lead away from Shane Neiswanger. And Elliott's still right there with him, so, but who knows? Tyrell and RJ, they got some quick trucks, so we might have a nice little group up here battling for the lead not too long from now.
That's right. It could turn in from a 3-truck battle here to about a 5-6 truck battle, because it looks like there's a 3 behind them there gaining. I think that's why Christopher had the urgency to say, I got to get around Shane. And you see the same thing with Elliott. As Shane didn't put up too much of a fight, I think they see that group back there is coming up, and I think, unfortunately, Shane might have been holding it up just a little bit. So Elliott and Christopher right now, and also Elliott doesn't want Christopher to get too far ahead. Remember, saw earlier on, Christopher had a hard time, even though he was matching times with Elliott out front. He wasn't able to close that gap. So we're going to see what now Elliott can do here, sitting in the back sides. We're watching this second group. Comes RJ. He's looking to the inside of Baker. He's going to take it. He's going to bring old Jake Miller along with him.
Yeah, and with how close these times are, like you pointed it out earlier, it's one thing to catch up to the bumper. It's a whole nother beast to pass in this capacity with how close the times are, with how competitive these guys are. So, and that's kind of what I feel like we were seeing, like in that battle we were talking about earlier when Chris was trying to catch up to Elliott again. He'd get there a couple times, but he just could not make the pass. So that's another thing to that I'm keeping in mind here with some of these battles going on, is this group looks to be getting a little closer and closer.
It is. You see Jake right there just following in the tire tracks of RJ. Still up front. It's all Christopher. And you kind of look at the lap times. I mean, the last time around, a 22.85 to 22.94. Those guys are just back and forth lap-wise, and it's kind of, I think track position is the king here. They still will have to make one more pit stop. Battle back here around 10th place spot. You got Samuel Hoff looking to try to take it over Jacob Bransky to try to run up into the 10th place. Daniel Nanny hanging on the 9th right there. You got Frederick Crimmings hanging on the 12th for the moment. Still a good field out here running. 930 machines out here still running. Guys will lap down here, so because we had a good long green flag run. That's a good run right now. All Christopher Heller out front, hoping that he can hang on to that lead.
And Chris Heller right here, he's been having a good, very strong night here this evening. As now it looks like back there Shane got caught by RJ, so RJ and Jake right there. So maybe he's holding him up a little bit, make the gap a little bigger for his teammate up front and his team owner right behind him. But RJ comes down to make the pass on Shane, and you got Jake right there going right with RJ.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just, Jake's going to come around RJ definitely fast here, been able to bounce back pretty quick here tonight. So far, Jake's moved it up. I think it went about the 3rd place spot now.
Yeah, and I believe RJ was the one that was pretty dominant at the Racer Auto Club the other day, and I'm pretty sure he lagged out or something?
Let me throw this out here to you. Remember I talked about tire wear? Remember that last pit stop RJ did on the last caution? I said it might have been a pit stop. It was pretty smart. He pitted at lap 103. Jake pitted at lap 104. And Bobby or Elliott and Christopher pitted at lap 96. So you're sitting on about 7 laps newer tires, roughly 6-7 laps newer tires. That's why you're seeing a massive time difference. And the time difference that I'm talking about is RJ ran a 23:07 to a 23:12. Actually, he just matched Christopher up front, who was running pretty quick so far. But yeah, Jake and RJ right now are running down the top two. They've got those newer tires, and it's going to benefit them as this run goes on. Still probably going to have another pit stop. These guys cannot make it all the way, so when they take that other pit stop, it's going to be crucial.
Yeah, and looking at the laps to go, we're already we're up to less than 40 laps to go now here in this race. So you got to think too, if this goes green, you got to decide when you think you're going to pit. Obviously, you got to kind of plan that out, because you have to give yourself enough time to be able to, if something were to happen, then you have an opportunity still to catch them. I think maybe with 30 laps or so left to go is when we'll see some of these guys go, especially Elliott and them. More so Elliott and Chris, because they pitted late lap 90s. So coming into the 40s right now, you're up and getting up to 50 laps or so. So I'm not sure what. I don't know what to think.
I don't either. So let's see if RJ can pull this thing off here. He's up there to third. You've got Elliott right there hanging on to second. Christopher, though, is getting through traffic pretty good, hanging on to the lead right now. With the laps winding down, when do you come into pit road? What do you think?
So I'm thinking, if I am Chris and Elliott, I know that those guys pitted a couple laps behind us. I don't want them to catch me and then have them end up short pitting me, because Chris Heller right here and Elliott, the top two right here, like I was just saying, how they have, and like you said, they have older tires by 6-7 laps or so. So, but if I were RJ, I would probably come in the next lap or two to give myself 30 laps as a just in case something happens, because he is right there behind Elliott as he passes the lap car of Hunter. And it looks like they're coming down, at least Chris and Elliott are. And it looks like Jake might have came with them too. Yeah, he did. And RJ's looks like he's just gonna try and lop off some time that he can get and maybe jump ahead for when he comes down pit road, so he has a little bit of leeway in his pocket, you know?
Well, remember I told you it was probably a smart move on his end when he came on pit road on that caution, because this right here, if it comes down to a green lap pit stop and it stays green, that is, definitely I think it's going to be in his hand, because he was right there with them. I mean, when these guys come out, now he's coming in, so he went out there a couple laps, got him a few points, I think, got ahead. We're going to see how well this might benefit him right now. I think he's looking at the newer tires. We saw how much those newer tires helped over the older ones. I think that's what he's thinking. Maybe these newer tires at the end of the race might help him, give him that little bit of a push that he needs to get up there and put this thing in victory lane.
And I mean, because here these guys come making up their lap back, and he's already rolling. So they're... Oh, wait, hold on.
No, they went by him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it takes good. You're going to go almost you're going to go a lap down, almost to 2 laps, but you can make it back up here. But you can see RJ's not that far off from Christopher and them. Maybe a straightaway, maybe a half straightaway. So he is definitely close enough on those newer tires. And when I say newer, it might only be about 2 or 3 lap newer tires, but definitely a dinner run's going to help him, especially if Elliott gets up there and starts battling any with Christopher or Shane, for that matter. So let's have to see how this pays off for old RJ here.
And the caution's out.
Now here's where it really could pay off, because now all that gap that was there, he doesn't have to make it up. Yeah, it's gone, and he don't have to abuse those tires trying to make it up. So here's where we saw another machine there in front go. But here's now Phillip. Well, I tell you what, Phillip and them. Look at something here. Something right fast. Phillip and Gavin did not pit. Had not pit yet. Okay, so Miller and them will be on the same lead lap. Now, obviously, Phillip and them's going to have to pit. Them coming in. They might be the ones you might want to look out for, because they're going to be on a little bit newer tires anyways than anybody else coming down. I just don't think they're going to have enough time to come through the field. They would have probably liked to have caught guys a lap down, just didn't work. I think RJ might, out of this pack right now, might be the one you want to keep an eye on if he can get around Jake and Tyrell. Oh, that's going to be a tough one there.
And you know as well as I know, Jake is pretty good at making that truck take up a good chunk of the track. From some of the stuff I've seen on here, he can make that thing wide. But yes, RJ has a very fast truck, so I wouldn't count him out either.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It's all going to depend on the restart here these guys get. This caution here does mix it up just a little bit. And if you're Christopher, you're probably thinking, okay, I've had Elliott right there. And if you're Elliott, do you push the envelope on trying to get around Christopher, or do you protect that second place as a teammate? Because you do have Terrell and Jake back there. And remember, Jake, I know he is very hungry for a win because he has been close a lot this season, but just has had disaster happen his way.
And someone too that I want to bring up is Tyrell right here. I ain't seen him that much this season, like I was saying, but he had a pretty fast truck too. But once the run got on, Jake and not Phillip. Why am I blanking? RJ. Yeah, I was like, what? Who am I talking about?
Nick said looks like a couple people, a bunch lost connection like they did this past Saturday, so it might be some little bit of connection issues again there for a bunch of drivers. I hate that on their end. The good thing is RJ is still running here because he was one of the ones. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I don't see him no more.
Uh-oh. Well, I spoke to... Everybody's on pit road. Jake stays out. But we were just talking about RJ. Are you kidding? Wow. Talk about lightning striking twice. I mean, I got to get I'm sorry, but we're parking all the cars. So, are we calling a race?
I'm not sure.
I think we're going to call this race, folks, because a lot of the drivers, 22 to go, have had some connection issues. It happened this past Saturday, but I believe an admin here has called this one here tonight. Yeah, everybody's on pit road. So, we're going to
Hey, Joe, you there?
yeah, we're going to get the official word. I was about to say, we're going to get the official word by the man himself, Samuel. I got a feeling that you just had to call the race, man.
We decided we were going to call the race. We're going to call it from lap 148. So I will go back to the broadcast, find everyone's position at that time. The race is called at lap 148. The top three before green flag stops, because they had such a big lead, will be gifted their top three positions, and everyone else will be moved down from there. So Christopher Heller is your winner, and then it should be Elliot Henderson in the 37, and let me check real quick who was the last person at lap 148, and we'll get it done here, and I can tell you who your top three are for tonight.
Well, I'm pretty sure, we already know Christopher Heller pretty much was out front. I believe it was Elliott right there. Not quite sure if RJ was sitting in there on third.
RJ Williams was third.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate on his end, lightning striking twice again there on the connection. Obviously, folks, we've told you before, connection issues on the lines, just like tires, motors, or any mechanical problems that might happen in real life. It's just something you can't control. But your winner there, Christopher Heller. And I tell you, man, Sam, just seems like, man, iRacing just does not want to cooperate.
It does not, I guess. Hopefully they can get this figured out by next Tuesday so we don't have this same issue. It's weird. It's happening
or Saturday. It happened Saturday.
Yeah, on Saturday. It's weird. It happens around 25% to go, and it just, poof, everything goes bad. So
we're going to
figure it out.
Maybe we'll shorten the races. Then there we go. We got it figured out. But nonetheless, man, I tell you what, your winner tonight, Christopher. I appreciate that heads up there, Sam.
Yep, I'm going to get out of here. Have a good night.
All right, there you go. Well, I tell you what, we're going to close it out here, folks, a little bit earlier. We'll just call it like a rain-delayed race, and they called it more than halfway here. Your winner tonight, Christopher Heller there. What a wild one. It was a good one. Unfortunately, lightning strikes here tonight, and we're going to red flag it out, the race, and call it. As your winner there, Christopher Heller, we're going to leave here under the lights of Richmond. And Alex, what a race. Man, I tell you, we're going to see y'all this Saturday at 1. Have a good night.